We need your support. Click the like buttons below. Now onto the video. Welcome to readtheticker.com. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, do an update. We're looking at a monthly data, we're looking at Bitcoin in US dollars, bit stamp data. Here we have monthly data with a custom indicator called RTT steps set to 2.13, 2.5 with a bull setting. Now what that basically does is it determines the upper band and the lower band by the nature of the true range within inside the bars. And as you can see here, the true ranges of the bars are set at 6,000 to 18,000. And what you should immediately notice, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7.5 because we're still working through the last bar of lows supporting the 6,000. So 6,000 is the wall which is holding price. This is where demand is coming in. So where is demand coming from? Well, obviously it's coming from the other coins, with people who are frustrated by the other coins and they're piling into Bitcoin. Obviously also if people are living in Argentina, South Africa, Turkey and other volatile countries like Venezuela, if they had any money at all, they'd be in Bitcoin, because obviously that's been a more stable platform for them, as well as gold, of course. So it's been a store of wealth for countries outside the G7, I would say. Now, where are we? So at the moment, we're looking at our Wyckoff on balance volume tool. Now what it basically shows, states the obvious. We had a situation of supply here and a situation of demand here. So it's demand there, alright? Situation of supply there. Now it's obviously quite a substantial supply, and demand was only, not so good. Because it didn't hold, went up to 8,000 and smashed down. Now, the news that's moving this market, all this talk about ETF, on or off, what have you, that's known. I mean, they expected the ETF to be delayed. An ETF exec's probably happen in the future, but who cares? They're just another bunch of people, people who'll be buying the Bitcoin for their ETF, because you won't be able to run that ETF without holding the underlying. What is important is the volume is dropping off. That shows a bit of lack of interest, a bit of dullness, right? The price is holding up. See how the volume was high here? That was deep interest. And the last 3 or 4 months, the volume just dried up. So there's a bit of a lack of interest going on, but price is still holding at 6,000. So that means all the players who've been in this game are defending it. Now, what could happen is that Mr. Market's always not Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Market be Mr. Nasty. As we show here, here's some moving averages, and as we can see here, the 50-week moving average was the hero for a while, but it became resistance, and now it's the 75-week. 75-week moving average is holding price. If that fails, we go to the rather substantial 100-week weekly moving average. This is the simple moving average. Now I draw a rainbow of moving averages not because I want, they all work. I'm just trying to find which ones fit. And this massive correction here, which is based on the bankruptcy of the Mt. Cox, which obviously was a major fundamental risk factor. And now we're dealing with a lot of the supply that came here was the Mt. Cox receivers selling Bitcoin to fund the creditors. So really, I mean, the fundamentals behind this correction compared to that correction are way lighter, so it shouldn't really matter. But Mr. Nasty might say, right, we've got support at 6,000, plenty of demand here. Let's just break down to 5,000, scare the bejesus out of everybody, and get back, and see who's capitulating. Create a bit of a climax. Right, let me explain something. The climax, the last climactic action we had was here on the 6,000. We may get a punch down to 5,000, because Mr. Market will do a Mr. Nasty, just to bust the stops and scare everybody out to get some volume. If it does that and bounces back up above 6,000, then demand is definitely in charge. here's the daily price action. I mean, this price action up here then back down there, that's just ridiculous. My bet is there's some accumulation going on there, and 5,800, 6,000 should hold, so long as we don't get too big a correction now, and we should begin to stabilise. And here's another example of the 100. Here's the 50-week moving averages, and here's the 100-week moving average. So let's hope the 100-week moving average is not too much of a magnet. As an investor, I'd like to see 6,000 hold, and if it does that for the next 2 months, I think every man and his dog should be investing. Now here's the point and figure chart based on daily data. What's quite interesting here is that, as you can see here, this is these up bars. That blue up bar is these daily bars here, which is made up of that volume there, which is this volume here. So what you do, the Wyckoff world, you use the wave action, because each bar is a wave, up for blue, down for red, and here's the volume for the waves, right? This is the volume per wave. And as you can see here, we've got a boom. Sorry, just draw a demonstrate. Oh, where are we coming here? Wait a minute. If we draw an imaginary line between the top of these red ones up there, you get the hills, the volume hills up here. See how that red line there mirrors the peak of this red line here, and the blue line, or the blue area chart, mirrors the blue bars. That just shows you how much volume is present in the wave action. And as you can see, there's no great demand volume. I would suggest, yep, looks like the demand volume is a little bit greater than the supply volume. So I'm just sort of saying is it's become pretty calm. As you can see back here, the supply volume was quite present. Coming down here, lots of supply, then it petered out here. This action down here, there wasn't that much supply going on. That was probably accumulation on the way down there, because the big boys have to accumulate on downswings, they can't accumulate on upswings. But like I said, is that we've got big support at 6,000. It does not mean Mr. Market can't do Mr. Nasty and bust the 6,000 and create some sort of spring action, hopefully, or a bear trap, and then advance. I do not believe Bitcoin is going to sink to the lows of 2,000 or 3,000. I believe Bitcoin has a place in the world, and as you can see with what's going on in the international markets with currency, is that Bitcoin does serve as a store of value for those currencies which are more volatile than Bitcoin. And I think the news came out recently that the Brazilian candidate for presidency would consider Bitcoin as a currency within its country. So there you go. The fundamentals are strengthening for Bitcoin to have a place in this world. So my favour is for Bitcoin. If it holds above 6,000, that is extremely bullish. If it smashes 6,000, goes to 5,000 and holds and goes back up to 6,000, that is extremely bullish. So the next couple of months, keep an eye on it. Obviously, if it holds 6,000 now and goes up, that's obviously bullish. But what we want to know now is that we know how Mr. Market can loosen the pockets of those strong hands by scaring them out with price action. So stay tuned and keep an eye on Bitcoin the next 2 or 3 months. It could be a very strong signal to buy this market. Thanks for watching.